From the Fidelity Bank Foundation studio, PBS Kansas presents One-on-One with Victor Hogstrom.
From the pressure and intensity of the NFL to the heartland of America, we're exploring leadership and the power of a grit mentality. My guest on this edition of One-on-One has navigated a remarkable career from coaching football in Brazil to the biggest league of all, the NFL. His name is Drametrice Smith. He's a coach, a scholar, and now an author. Smith is bringing his global experience to Bethel College here in Kansas. But he's not just teaching the game, he's sharing a lifetime of lessons in resilience. We'll discuss the roots of his drive, the lessons learned on his journey to succeed, and the inspiration behind the book, A Grit Mentality. A fascinating half hour is ahead as I go one-on-one with Coach Drametrice Smith right now.
From the Fidelity Bank Foundation studio.
Hello and welcome to One-on-One. I'm Victor Hogstrom, and I'm excited to welcome coach, educator, and author, Dr. Drametrice Smith, to the program. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you.
Absolutely.
You have lived in foreign countries. You've lived throughout the United States. But let's begin with your childhood and where you grew up.
I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, a small little town called Lauderhill that they call Shallow Side. There it's very rough to grow up. If you can make it out of Broward County, you can make it anywhere in the world. I was fortunate enough to be the oldest brother of 7 siblings and raised them. Played a lot of football. Football was my way out of the ghetto, the projects we would say. So without that football and education, I wouldn't be here today in front of you. So I'm grateful for my upbringing, where I come from, and I've come out some treacherous situations, a foster child, living homeless, raising kids, not having the proper parents in my life. My mom was a drug addict, my daddy was a drug addict. Lost my mom to AIDS, my father overdosed to heroin, one of my brothers committed suicide. So that's the life that I had to endure, and I wanted to make something out of my life.
How did you escape all of those things?
By having a mindset of wanting to be the opposite of my environment that I was in. If I can not sell drugs like my uncles and all the people that were older than me and get an education, I could create a life that got value. Just always wanted to be the opposite and reinvent myself to come out of those situations.
Did someone guide you through that process, or did you have a mentor, or just how did you just develop that mindset?
Through trial and error, being baptized through the fire, but at the same time, finding selfless people, dealing with the Big Brother, Big Sister program, Salvation Army, those type of programs that provide for people that are in poverty. I did have a guy named Benjamin Preston that did invest in me. We couldn't afford the money for speed training, and he knew my mom was sick, so he told her, hey, he's gonna make it one day as an athlete, so I'll take him under my wing. And that was the first man to ever tell me that he loved me, so he was most likely my mentor through everything, even through college.
Tell us about your college background, your education.
All right, I have a bachelor's from the University of South Florida in communications. I have a master's in sports management from Missouri Baptist University. Did an internship with the St. Louis Cardinals and the St. Pete Tide, a professional football team. I have a doctoral degree in education with an emphasis in human sciences. And I did that at Walden University out in Minnesota, where I completed a residency.
Now, you use football to really propel your life and everything about you. What was it about football that appealed to you to cause you to do that?
Football itself is a game that is organized chaos and adversity itself. So I could take the things that I learned from the football field and apply it to my life, you know, such as when I'm getting tired, beat down, do I want to quit? Do I want to give up on my team? Am I my brother's keeper? You know, and I applied all those things to my life outside of the white lines. You know, the things that I learned from my coaches, being where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing at a high level, being on time. If you're on time, you're basically late, so you need to be early to make sure you're on time. Mm-hmm. You know, and I learned if I was a coachable player, I'll be a great employee in corporate America one day.
So tell us about the football in you, the athlete, that is.
Okay.
Were you a natural?
I would say I was a natural. The way I found the game of football was, it's a funny story. I cut the telephone wire and I got in trouble with my mom, and I just kept walking. I ran into a park and a coach seen me playing. He said, "Hey, do you want to try out?" And it was flag football. And the first time they kicked me the ball on kick return, I scored a touchdown. And ever since then, I fell in love with football, and that's how I found the game itself. I was a defensive back. I played quarterback. I played up pretty much every position up into high school to where I had to really focus on what I was trying to do as far as a college athlete.
Drametrice, you've described the tough times you've had growing up, the lack of opportunities.
Yes, sir.
What were your aspirations with all of those challenges that you had facing you and the experiences you were going through? What were you thinking? What were those aspirations? What did you hope to become? What were you aiming at?
I was aiming at just simply getting the education. You know, my mom never graduated high school. My dad never graduated. My grandfather, all I was chasing was the dream just to walk across the stage with a high school diploma. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I worked so hard that I got lucky on accident, I think, and got a full scholarship to the University of South Florida. And I didn't want to be a failure and go back home without my degree. So that was my aspirations, getting as much education as I possibly can get. Mm-hmm. And that's what drove me, you know, to set the standard. You know, none of my siblings went to college. You know, I'm first generation. They didn't follow in my footsteps. So, you know, I'm still pushing to this day to keep learning, always evolving, reinventing myself.
Now tell us about your high school and your college football careers.
Okay.
Take it from high school.
Now, high school, I went to one of the most prominent institutions in the world. We produced the most NFL guys on opening draft day. It's called St. Thomas Aquinas. Joey Bosa's, the Michael Irvins, you know, the Patrick Surtains, you know, all these guys are a part of our program. I played in 3 state championships. I won one my sophomore year, lost my junior and senior year, so I've lost only 3 football games in high school. You know, I won the Coaches Award every year at my high school. I was a captain, all Dade, all Broward. I was a 3-sport athlete, basketball, track. In my county, I've had the 200 records with 2180 back in my day. And then as far as, you know, going to college, I was a 2002 Overachiever Award winner at the University of South Florida, 2-time academic All-American in the Big East, 2-time Conference USA academic honor roll at University of South Florida. I started my red shirt junior year as a nickelback, and I just progressed through the system itself and earned my degree. And, you know, that was my college career there.
Any professional football?
Absolutely. I played for the Lakeland Raiders, a professional arena team, but I did have private workouts with the Washington Redskins, the Miami Dolphins, but I never latched on with an NFL team. So that last year of me emptying the tank was a part of the Lakeland Raiders. And then when that season was over, I was like, my calling is coaching. You know, the mentoring aspect and giving back all the things I've been through. So obviously God didn't want me to be in the NFL. He wanted me to be a coach and pour into guys and create positive social change.
So where did you begin the coaching? I
began coaching at Fort Valley State University as a graduate assistant under Andre Waters, who played with Buddy Ryan and the Philadelphia Eagles, and he gave me an opportunity, him and Dedrick Clark. Mm-hmm. Dedrick Clark right now is at Mississippi Valley State. coaching as well with Terrell Buckley. So that's where I started my coaching career. I tried high school for 1 year, just didn't work out because high school, the parents really run the team. You know, college, you know, scholarship dollars are involved, you know, things are maneuvered different at the college aspect. So from there, I went on an 18-year run, still coaching to this day, all the way across internationally, Switzerland, ELF, Brazil with the American Locomotiva, Jacksonville Jaguars. I've coached at Edward Waters University, Fort Valley State. I've been around. Only level I haven't coached is just Division I football.
So how did you end up in Brazil? You also worked in Brazil.
Yeah.
And then after that, I want to find out how did you end up in Kansas? Okay. So tell us about Brazil.
I had an agent that reached out to the team in Brazil. And the guy that was previously there as a head coach, he had got promoted to a different league that was closer to the NFL. And he made a reference for me. You know, coaching is all about who knows you, you know, and the guy knew that I was a hard worker. I'm honest. I could be, you know, take care of business. And, you know, I interviewed 3 times for the job. And next thing you know, I got that call and I packed my stuff and I was on my way to Brazil, you know, 24-hour flight.
Doing what?
Coach, I was the head football coach in Brazil, you know, running the team, taught English to intermediate students that were interested in learning. But Brazil was definitely a beautiful thing. You know, I got to go over there, live and understand their culture and how they do things. For instance, we eat 4 hours before we play a football game. Brazilians, they eat 30 minutes before they finna take the field. Oh, really? You know, it's tradition to them to eat before they go play. Right. You know, so that was different. Some great experiences. You know.
So based on your experience, which is better, 4 hours before eating or 30 minutes before eating?
4 hours for sure. Okay. They let the food digest and, you know, you're not out there throwing up as you're competing and sweating, you know, so that's the time for your body to digest the food and do all the mechanisms that it's gonna do and prepare you to have a light stomach to go out there and compete full speed.
So did you try to change that in Brazil?
I did. I mean, within my team, right. You know, within my team, I told them that's not the way to do it. And, you know, they were eating heavy stuff, you know, not the proper stuff, you know, fried crackling with beans and rice, you know, no, we need carbs and Powerade, you know, 4 hours before the ball is kicked.
So what brought you back then to the U.S.?
My agent says it's time for me to be here. You know, if I'm chasing the dream of being a part of the NFL again, you know, this is where I need to be and be in college football and start getting some more NFL programs and reaching out to NFL teams, you know.
Okay, so did you connect with NFL teams?
I have.
Here in the U.S.?
I have.
And then you came to Kansas.
Correct.
Tell us about that story.
Me coming back to Kansas is the foundation of me actually latching on to an NFL team. You know, I need to be actively coaching, you know, stand somewhere committed for a full season, reaching out to those teams, going through those internship programs, and then getting promoted within those internship programs to be an assistant football coach in the NFL. So it's only right that I have to be a college football coach here to get that job.
Is that your aspiration?
My aspiration is to be a head coach in the NFL one day.
All right. I look forward to seeing you on the sidelines.
Absolutely. Calling plays.
So tell us about your work at Bethel College now. You are working at Bethel, and you are, and I'll read that directly, the co-defensive coordinator and defensive backs coach.
Yes, sir.
An adjunct instructor of health and human performance.
Yes. Now, my duties at Bethel, co-defensive coordinator, that's something that me and Coach Lawson determined I would do. Him and Cade Miller would call the defense, but if anything goes haywire, then I would step in with my background and knowledge and take over the defense. I have an extensive background when it comes to defensive back. I was a defensive back, you know, in high school, college. Coach Jalen Ramsey, Ronnie Harrison, some great guys that are still in the NFL right now. So my background when it comes to DB, I can coach it in my sleep. You know, I know everything, every aspect about it. It's the hardest position to play on the football field because you run backwards 24/7 and you have to anticipate everything else that is going on and have great reaction time. As far as the teaching part, coaches are great teachers. So every job I apply for, I always ask them, can I get in the classroom? Because I want to touch the campus as a whole, not just the football part. Yeah, that's the part that got me there. Mm-hmm. That's a small component. But the bigger picture is for me to inspire everybody at the university. So I do intro to sports management, health and safety, facilities event management, anything in that type of realm with the human and health performance. I've taught physical education. You know, I've taught some courses that would seem that coaches would teach, you know, but definitely want to keep taking it to the next level and show these guys that you don't have to just be an athlete. You don't have to just be a jock. You know, you can do both. You can get your education and go far in this world with the game of football and in the classroom.
And talking about education, you're not only a coach, but you also work toward your PhD.
Yes, sir.
While coaching.
Correct.
What a challenge.
It was.
Tell us about them.
I think I just had to have great organizational skills, but I did lose my father to heroin throughout that 10-year time span. I had professors that told me I didn't write well. You know, I took that pain and made that my motivation that you're not gonna stop me from getting this degree no matter what, hell or high water. I'm walking across that stage as a doctor because nobody else in my family's ever done that. And I do have high aspirations of earning a Nobel Peace Prize one day too with my voice. So that's what I needed the doctor
you and
in front of that.
President Trump.
Now, I don't know about President Trump, you know.
So, Dr. Smith.
Yes, sir.
What has been the most unexpected challenge for you in life thus far?
Being a father, you know, not seeing my daughter as much as I like to because of my career and the things that I'm chasing, but I love my child to death. You know, I give her anything that she wants in this world, but that's the most unexpected thing because when I do return back, it's something new or something happened or got to catch up and, you know, be that father figure in her ear and let her know that she's loved even from a distance.
Very important.
Very important.
Let's talk again about the PhD. You took your time to do that. You did not rush. It takes discipline and patience, and you seem to have had those.
Correct.
How long did you work on that PhD?
I worked on that PhD ever since 2014 and graduated October 2024. So it took me 10 years of different committee members saying that I can't do it and, you know, going through the gauntlet of everything with that. So I had to have some resolve and just had to lock in, you know, sacrifice everything, the late nights, the early mornings on the computer, you know, sending papers in, them getting rejected, you know, finding tutors to help me to figure it out, what the formula is, the crack to be a part of the fraternity of the PhD guys. You know, it's a whole different world, you know, and also an aspiration as a minority myself, you know, 3%, 1%, you have a better chance of making the NFL versus getting a PhD as a minority. It's a 1% chance of a minority earning a PhD. You have a 3% chance of making the NFL.
And why is that? Why that 1% chance?
Because I don't see a lot of minorities out there, black males with PhDs, you know, they're incarcerated, they're not around, they're doing the wrong thing. And that's just what the data states, you know. I'm going off the statistics that my chair told me, and I looked at the percent of you making the NFL versus you being a full-time professor with a PhD as a minority.
So based on your experience thus far, any philosophy of life that you formulated?
Yeah, discipline plus dedication minus distractions equals success.
Wow. Discipline plus dedication
minus distractions
equals
success. Simple formula.
Very formula. Yeah, it is. And quite clear too. We have a game that we play on this program, and I have one for you. All right? I'll give you two choices, and you tell us which one you prefer and why.
All right.
All right. A pre-game speech or a halftime adjustment?
Halftime adjustment.
Why is that?
Because motivation is temporary. It's instinct motivation. You know, they got a or extrinsic motivation, meaning that I can go in there and fire you up with a pregame speech, but as soon as you hit the field, you know, it's on you to be motivated. The reason I chose the halftime adjustment, I can see all the flaws that's going on in the game, and I can show you the answers to the test and prepare you to go out there and win a football game versus me just rah, firing you up. So I'd rather give you the answers to the test to life, the answers to the test to the game, you know? So that's why I chose the halftime speech or the halftime adjustment. Okay,
a crushing tackle or a perfect interception?
A perfect interception. I'm a defensive back. We don't care about crushing tackles in the secondary. As long as you get them down on the ground, that's what matters. But the reason I chose a perfect interception, I'm selfless. I want to give the ball back to the offense and give them an opportunity to put more points on the scoreboard.
All right. Fishing on a lake or writing a book?
Woo-hoo! Tough one. Writing a book, because that's legacy.
Okay.
I can go fishing any day of the week, you know, but leaving some artifact behind for the future generations to come, that would be something special.
Very good answer. Talking about book now, you have written a book.
Yes, sir.
It's called A Grit Mentality.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about this. Why a grit mentality?
Because grit is something that you just gotta have. You know, you develop through life by you being beat down in life. Either you're gonna sit there and cry about what's happening to you, your circumstances, or you're gonna rise to the occasion and come through everything that you've been through. And so being a gritty person, you fight back no matter what circumstances you have that's going on in your life. So that's why I named the book A Grit Mentality. You know, everything starts with your mindset. You know, I know people that are way more privileged than I am, but they won't outwork me in anything that I'm doing. So a grit mentality is a lifestyle. It's something that you gotta develop throughout life that you go through. You know, perseverance, resolve, you know, and that's why I called it that.
And they said you couldn't write.
And they said I couldn't write. I didn't write well enough to be in a doctoral program. So
and what kind of reaction are you getting to the book?
I'm getting some good feedback. A lot of my close family members and those people are purchasing it. And this A is global. I had to tweak it a little bit because it's close to my high school A, but that's what I was going for as a brand and image, you know, to be close to it, because that's a brand that everybody knows out in the real world. And when you see that A, it stands for something, you know, it has a standard, you know, and so that's why I went this route with this book, A Grit Mentality. I could have called it Grit Mentality, but the A alone, it comes with a lot of pride behind it and tradition.
Okay, let's continue this game.
All right.
A big city crowd or a small town crowd?
I'm like the flashy lights, the big city. I'm a big city guy.
Okay, but you work with a small town crowd right now.
So I do work with a small town crowd, but I bring that big city flavor.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
High energy every day, helping, serving, giving the clothes off my back, giving rides, driving vans to football games. You know, letting them see my life, their life through my lens, or vice versa. You know, me standing in front of that classroom, sharing my experiences with them in a small city town, giving them that big city feel.
All right. Coaching in the heat of Florida or the cold of Kansas?
Yeah, everybody wants to coach in Florida. That's what everybody tries to get to, Florida to coach. You know, I would definitely love to coach in Florida one day at the University of South Florida, my alma mater. That would be a dream job for me, to go back to Tampa, Florida and coach that one day.
And to teach, maybe? How's teaching compared to coaching? I mean, which is your preference?
I would say coaching, but I always like to do combo jobs. So I would never get away from the teaching part. Even if I was a Division I coach, I would still teach maybe one class just to be, you know, to touch the campus again.
I mean, you have the PhD now.
Right.
And the university would want that.
Absolutely.
So why was it important for you to get a doctorate degree in education while you were still coaching?
I figured that if I can show people the life that I came from and I could find a person and spark the brain that will change this world. That's why I wanted to get a PhD in education, because I was in remedial classes growing up. They put me in the portable and told me just be quiet because I couldn't control my anger issues or the things that I faced in my life. So I was eating crayons in a portable. And then when the light came on, I was like, I gotta be the richest, fittest, and the most educational man in the room. And that's my goal. But more so just setting an example for people that come from poverty. No matter where you're at in this world, if you look at my life and my testimony, you can make it. You know, you don't have to just accept, oh, I was born into this family of drug addicts. You know what, I'm gonna go over here and smoke, I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna do all these bad things. And that wasn't my mentality. Mm-hmm. You know, I wanted to be different and raise the bar.
So Coach, or Dr. Smith.
All right.
Or Professor, or whatever.
All right.
What do you do to teach that grit mentality to your players and in the classroom?
Now, to my players, we put them in uncomfortable situations, and we're going to see, are you going to fold or are you going to rise to the occasion? So I test you over and over. And how do you go from being anger to resentment? How fast does it take you to get there? How mentally tough are you? Yes, sir, coach. No, sir, coach. I'm going to class. I'm dog tired. But I'm where I'm supposed to be, doing what I'm supposed to be doing at a high level. And that's how we measure that. How fast do you go from anger to resentment and not listening?
So what is your ultimate vision for this football team at Bethel College where you work and coach?
My ultimate vision is for them to compete for a national championship one day. You know, they've won the KCAC several times. You know, it's small steps. Right now, our team is 60% all freshmen. In a couple years, we're going to be really good and super competitive. But we want to take it to the next level, go to the playoffs, compete in the playoffs, and somehow have a Cinderella year and hold up the national championship trophy.
And with that in mind, what is the core philosophy of your defense at Bethel?
Right now, we've switched to a 4-2-5. Coach Lawson believes in the things that he's learned at Alabama working with Nick Saban. And so we are really adjustment type of defense. You show us trips. You know, we try to make you one-dimensional. We take something away from you and force you to do something that you don't want to do, and then let you lose the ball game on your terms by us making you one-dimensional. So if you're a passing team, we want to take away the pass and force you to run the ball, vice versa.
So as one of the coaches at Bethel, then what is, or would you like your legacy to be after you decide to move on?
That I came here, and every day that my feet hit the ground, I was happy where I was at. I changed people's lives. I was very vulnerable, unclothed in a biblical standpoint that you can see yourself inside of me and vice versa. I would like my legacy to be that I gave it everything I had. There's no substitution for effort, you know, a high work ethic.
Dr. Drametrice Smith.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
All right now.
And thank you for watching. oneonone@kpts.org is our email address. That's if you have a question or comment. I'm Victor Hogstrom, and I'll see you again soon.